Okay, a quick pros and cons video on the 2022 Mazda CX-5. This is the turbo signature model, so it's fully loaded. If you haven't seen my full in-depth review already, where I go through my detailed driving impressions, definitely check that out. It's going to be linked in the description box below. But let's get started here. The first pro is going to be the overall refinement of the CX-5. They've continued to improve that aspect of it for 2022 with the stiffer chassis, right? So that's going to help make the vehicle quieter just naturally, because that's kind of the byproduct of a stiffer, more solid chassis, right? And helps to soak up the bumps a little bit better. All great things to see here. And we also have double pane glass, so it is a very quiet vehicle as well. Minimal tire noise, minimal wind noise, even at the higher speeds, not an issue. The next pro is going to be with this powertrain. I've always praised the kind of 4-cylinder / 6-speed automatic drivetrain combination that they've always had. I think it's a great combo. They've made the 6-speed automatic a little bit smoother, a little bit more efficient, and you do notice that when you drive it. And also for 2022, the power goes up about 6 horsepower for the turbocharged models if you use premium fuel. But I also like the regular 4-cylinder without the turbo, the 2.5 liter. That produces 187 horsepower and 186 pounds-feet of torque. I think that's more than enough for most people. The only con with that engine is the fact that when you get it out on the highway, it kind of loses steam at the higher end, right? When you're already doing 70 miles an hour and you want to pass somebody, it's not going to be the quickest. So the turbocharged engine is kind of more of a luxury feature more than anything. Just kind of gives you that effortless thrust for everyday driving, but it's not going to light your world on fire. So that's going to be one con with this vehicle. It's a more detached driving experience. It's more European than anything else, a little bit more Audi-esque, right? That's kind of what Mazda is pulling off here. For the price category that this is competing in, this is a very premium feeling vehicle. It kind of shows you just how overpriced some of the European vehicles really are, because they achieve so much here for a fraction of the cost of some of the European rivals. Not really rivals, because that's not what this is competing against, but you know what I'm saying. Engine and transmission, definitely more than enough, but I will say another con is going to be when you floor it in this vehicle, there's definitely that kind of torque steering effect still. I don't recommend you flooring it in this vehicle. It's not super satisfying to drive this hot-blooded or anything like that. Driving it more mellow is where you're going to get the most satisfaction. But I have to mention it, if you're going to be driving this a little bit more aggressively, that is one thing that you're going to be noticing with this vehicle. But a huge pro is going to be the fact that all-wheel drive is made standard for 2022 across the board, even for the base model. So that's great to see. The other major pro is going to be with this interior space. It continues to be the best-in-class interior, of course. And for the signature model, you get a little bit more leather padding and things like that with some wood trims and some aluminum trim. You also have extremely comfortable seats, and for 2022, they did redesign the seats a little bit more to keep you in place right when you're making turns. But it continues to be a non-fatiguing place. You can do a lot of miles in this vehicle, not feel tired. It's got plenty of lumbar support for the driver. What I really like is the fact that they give you all the safety features as standard, even for the base models. Like you get the blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, lane keep assistance, the forward braking assistance, and all that stuff. You get all that here as standard. And when you move up in trim, you get a little bit more creature comforts like heated and cooled seats, heated steering wheel, moonroof, things like that. You also get a 10.3-inch screen as standard across the board. One of my more favorite infotainment systems for sure. It's clean, it's crisp, it reacts really well, and it's non-distracting. It's more of a black and white setup, no crazy colors or anything like that. Same thing goes for the gauge cluster as well. But yeah, you have the Apple CarPlay, the Android Auto, very easy to use. There's no learning curve with this. So anybody can just jump in here, use it. It's not an issue. One touch up and down windows for all 4 windows. That's actually standard. I'm not sure if the double pane glass is standard for the base models, but you do get that here, and that definitely aids in just how quiet this vehicle is. The Bose audio system, huge pro with this. Definitely one of the best audio systems. If you want to pay up for it, go ahead. I do recommend getting the base model vehicle, but I think that has 4 speakers in it. And if you get the select model, you get like a 6-speaker setup. But this Bose audio system is really clean, crisp, has great bass in it. I think it's one of the best audio systems in like the normal car category compared to like Hondas, Toyotas, Hyundais, Kias. This is really well done. But I guess one of the cons with this interior space and with most Mazdas is the fact that they are more so on the petite side, not a whole lot of cargo space, a little bit more of an intimate cabin space. You're going to be sitting a little bit closer to your passengers. And the trunk space is also going to be a little bit more constricted than the rivals, but I don't really see that as a bad thing. This is not like a useless vehicle. You know, you can still fit adults back there. I'm 5'11". I can sit behind myself. I'm not stretching out back there like it's a Maybach or anything, but it's more than enough. And the cargo is just fine. I mean, you can also fold down the seats 60/40, so that should be more than enough for most normal people. And besides, having a smaller, more petite vehicle means that you can actually fit it in your garage a little bit easier. And just driving it every day, right, it's a little bit easier. Fitting it in the lane, fitting it in parking spaces, things like that. And lastly, another pro is going to be the fuel economy. It's actually not bad for a vehicle of this size and weight. It's around 3,800 to 4,000 pounds, I think. And even when I'm thrashing on it, even in this turbocharged engine, I'm getting like 18 mpg, which is pretty unacceptable for things like the Mazda 3s and the Mazda 6s because they're smaller sedans. But for this SUV, that's not bad. But it's rated to get 22 in the city, 27 out on the highway with the turbo engine. And you will be getting that if you drive it a little bit more mellow, and you can even beat those numbers, especially out on the highway. With the regular 4-cylinder, it's rated to get 24 in the city and like 30 on the highway. And again, you should be able to beat that highway MPG for sure. Conclusions, this continues to be best in class, and it's certainly my recommendation in this segment. It's kind of my go-to, especially that base model for $25,900. I really like that car. I think the cloth seats that they offer is a little bit more so on the premium side. The standard features in that is excellent. Like the push button start, the leather wrapped steering wheel, the leather wrapped gear lever knob. You get all that in the base model. But if you want to pay up for this, go ahead, because that's also justified. If you want to get like a turbocharged model for like $37,000, that's not a bad value proposition either. Nice to see that Mazda cares and they want to continue to give you a better vehicle year after year. So I really respect that. And if you're in the market, go ahead, buy it. You're going to enjoy it. I don't think you'll have any real regrets with it. So that's my video. Thanks again for watching. Take care and goodbye.